should put it on like this boob. Welcome to Lifestyles of the Strange and Exotic Random Book Review. And I was just kind of looking into the freebie section of Amazon Kindle there, under like history. And I found Egyptian Mythology, Hourly History. And I wasn't quite sure what to expect if you're going to put, 5 millenniums worth of, Egyptian mythology into like an hour. I'm not sure it could be done. Let's see. It does start off with a fairly good timeline of Egyptian history outside of mythology, the, day-to-day life of Egypt. So if anybody's sort of wanting to get into Egyptology, it's a good little refresher, or at least a good little tidbit of interestingness. I'm referring to my notes here. As I try to decipher said notes. Oh, well, she did the, what is she? Egyptian mythology. Oh, no particular author, actually. Just by Our History Limited. So they give you the sort of overall timeline, so it gives you a base of reference as to what gods were worshipped when and how one kind of bled into the other, because at one point Sekhmet and Bast were 2 separate gods, and in some ways they still are, but sort of later on they sort of became 2 sides of the same god. So that kind of thing. She gives you a base of reference first. I don't know, maybe it was a very feminine thing, so I want to keep saying she, they. So that. It is, of course, very brief, being that you can read it. If you're a really fast reader, you could probably read it in 30 minutes. So, yes, they very much hold on to the 1 hour thing. The coolest thing in here, too, is because it is an abridged kind of book, they give you links to other resources, which is awesome because it is such an immense form of study. I mean, even if you picked like just the one god, there's a plethora of stuff to like learn about them, So I like the fact that you can expand your knowledge with the different links they give you in like the ends of each chapter. So that was awesome. That's a really cool thing to do. Probably a little more difficult to kind of access them on the Kindle, but if you have like the Kindle Fires and stuff, you'll be able to kind of access them easier. Or even just write them down and Google it. But they're there to be had. Oh, and from time to time they'll have like poems from like different points of view during like the different ages, but they're done in like Old English, so you're kind of like, it's like you want to like enjoy the poetry, but you're like, you can't understand half of it. So it was an interesting addition, but it was kind of awkward at the same time, since I am barely fluent in American English, let alone Old English. And this would be a great little tidbit for like the younger people just starting to learn Egyptian history too. So if you want to kind of pad what you're learning in school with something probably more interesting and full of information. Victim of public schooling. This is a good little book to start too. And definitely good to research, if you have like a homework project, that type of thing. So, I do highly recommend Egyptian Mythology, a concise guide to the ancient gods, beliefs, and Egyptian mythology. And of course they don't go through like the entire spectrum. They kind of focus on like the main gods that, if you hear the names, you've heard the names, like, Horus and Osiris and Isis and, I think they do Thoth. And I think they do Past. So the ones that you kind of have heard about, they don't do like, is it Kepher? Yes, not Kephren. That was after the god king there. The more obscure gods. Bes, I think, was one of them. Sobek. So. I was just going through the table of contents. You have the introduction, a timeline of ancient Egypt, historical Egypt, the myth of creation, the pantheon of gods, though a very, very tiny section of them, the mythology in day-to-day ancient Egypt, central role of the temple and some temple rituals, sources of the history of Egyptian mythology, the underworld and life after death, the pyramids and their locations, which kind of is like an offshoot of like not quite about mythology, it was just sort of there, and then they summarize. So, good little book. It was a freebie, and this was fairly recently, well, as of the end of July and beginning of August. And I guess that's all I can really tell. So, thank you for watching. Do remember to comment, rate, share, and subscribe. There's always room for one more at the Strange and Exotic. See you next time. Bye. We'll see if he reaches China soon.